Metal
Okay.
Gear Solid Delta.
Oh
Snake
yes.
Eater. Oh my god. Now I told you this, but I literally got up, screamed, and dropped to my knees in excitement and shock at seeing this trailer. And I knew it was Snake Eater when
Right.
literally, and it's kind of stupid. It was this is a very random trailer. It's ants crawling on the ground, and then they go up to a frog and they're like eating the frog, whatever. And then a bird picks up the frog, and then the bird lands on a branch floating in the water, and then a snake eats it. And I said, "Snake ate the bird? Snake eater!" And then there was a alligator that came and grabbed it, and then they zoom in more, and then you just see Naked Snake. Not literally Naked Snake. His name is Naked Snake.
Right.
um,
I know.
walk walking through the swamp, like up to his chest in water, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" And then you hear the music. Oh my god, the music! That good old James Bond theme. Snake Eater. Oh, it's so good. Let me tell you something, man. Y'all don't know what y'all in for. Y'all really don't. Y'all don't know what y'all in for, man. Y'all about to get started on this Metal Gear journey. And they're releasing a collection called Master Collection Volume One for PS5, which includes and Xbox, which includes the original three games, which is
Hmm.
dope. And a lineup for Volume Two got leaked, and it looks like it will include Peace Walker, Portable Ops, which were both PSP games, and Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which is the solo writing hack and slash made by Platinum. So yeah, I'm so excited because Wizard, you can't play Rising on. I don't think Rising is on PS4 or five. It's one of those games that got stuck on last gen. I believe so.
Uh,
But you can play it on Xbox because Xbox is backwards compatible, and I've been playing on Xbox recently. I had wanted to check it out again. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, let's just get a little bit more into the trailer. The trailer didn't show much, and but despite that, the Metal Gear fan I am, there's a lot for me to analyze. Uh, and really, it's really the title we're gonna analyze the most. But let's just talk about the trailer itself real quick. So the reason they're showing all these animals eating each other is because the game isn't called Snake Eater for no reason. It's not just called Snake Eater because the main character's name is Snake, and he's fighting these people who are probably stronger than him or whatever. It's called Snake Eater because you literally eat snakes. That's not why it's called Snake Eater, but that's part of the reason.
Right.
You literally there's a mechanic in the game where you eat animals to like restore your health and stamina and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so that showing all those animals eating each other was just to represent how you can one you have to fight some of these animals. You have to fight giant snakes and alligators and crocodiles and stuff like that in this game.
Every everything I learn about the Metal Gear Solid franchise makes me understand it less and less. I'm gonna be so real.
It seems see look I always want to say it's not that confusing and then I start explaining I go you know what maybe it is. Uh, it's no Kingdom Hearts I'll tell you that. Um, but so I heard that Delta is meant to represent change. And I'm assuming that change will be a remake of the entire series, but in chronological order. But replacing the numbers with Delta. The reason they're starting with Snake Eater because it's arguably the most popular game in the series, but also timeline wise, it's the earliest game in the series. So that's kind of just convenient on their part. They get to remake the most popular and the earliest one in the timeline, giving them the ability to okay, let's just go down the timeline from there. Um, but yeah, to avoid confusion, because like if you're a new fan and you hop in and go, I'm hopping in with the third game. That's weird. Why would I do that? Let me go play the first two. They're calling it just Delta Snake Eater, so that no, this is where you start. You don't have to go back and play the other ones if you don't want to. Like if you don't want to play the older games, you don't have to. So you don't have to wait for them to like get to the remakes of one and two before you play the remake of three. You can just start with three. Um, my guess is Peace Walker is next in the timeline, so my assumption is they're probably gonna remake that next, but that they're also gonna remake the original two Metal Gear games, which were 2D pixel games, and were on the MSX, and they're gonna remake those as one game, and that would be fourth in the timeline, just behind Metal Gear Solid Five, and that's where things get weird. Is that I'm not quite sure what they'll do with five, since it came out in like 2015, so it's still
That's pretty.
relatively new, and I played it recently. Again, don't like the game, and I'll get to that in a minute. But it's like doesn't necessarily need a remake. It could just get like a 4K remaster, and they could remaster it and just slap Delta on it, and have people go, okay, after you played Ground Zeroes, I mean not Ground Zeroes, um, I just said it, Peace Walker. You then just played this remastered version of Metal Gear Solid 5, and then you go into the first two games remade into one game. But
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, I feel like if they're gonna do it, just go all the way and remake all of them, including 5. And I say that as a person who really doesn't like Metal Gear Solid 5. I think there's a lot of changes they could make to the game. The to me the biggest problem with the game is that it's an open world game that didn't need to be open world. Um, it makes the mistake that some games make where they go open world and it's just big and empty. And Metal Gear Solid 5 is big and empty, and it it, it makes me feel like RPGs make me feel, which is just overwhelmed and tired just at trying to play them. And just I love Kojima, but sometimes he gets a little too ambitious, and this is one of those times where he got too ambitious and it made a game that just I wasn't a fan of. And this is okay. Do what you want, Kojima. Have fun. But I'm not a fan of 5, and I would not be mad if they remade it and made the maps much smaller, but still open and giving you the ability to tackle situations however you
Right.
want, but not so big that you need a horse to traverse it, or at least maybe a couple areas you need a horse to traverse, rather than
Mm-hmm.
the whole game you need a horse to traverse the,
Right.
the the map. It's just it doesn't need to be that big. It really doesn't, because all you're doing is running through an empty desert for long periods of time in this game, where the tagline is stealth espionage action. Like, come on,
Right.
riding a horse has none of those things.
Yeah.
But so in chronological order, the games go: Snake Eater, Peace Walker, Phantom Pain,
Right.
the first two Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. Um, but that is understandably confusing. That it goes from 3 to PSP game to 5 to 2 old games to 1, 2, and then 4. So they're probably going to call them Delta Snake Eater, as they are Delta Peace Walker, Delta Ground Zeroes. Now this is where it gets a little confusing about what they might name it. So the Metal Gear games are just called Metal Gear, and the second one is called Metal Gear Solid Snake. So I think they might just call it like Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake,
Mm-hmm.
rather than having it be called Metal Gear Solid Snake, which would be weird. So they're probably just gonna call it Metal Gear Delta Snake. And then there was a remake of the first Metal Gear Solid before, after Metal Gear Solid 2, that essentially takes all the mechanics from that second game and places it in a remake of the first one. And they called it
Right.
Snake Eater. So they're probably going to call this third remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I mean, did I just say Snake Eater? Twin Snakes is what it was called.
Uh, I got
So,
real confused
yeah, I
for a
was like,
second. I was
my bad. See, I'm making it confusing when it doesn't need to be. Snake Eater is Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear, the
like,
first one, the remake of the very first game, was called Twin Snakes. So they're
right.
probably
Okay.
also going to call this one Metal Gear Solid Delta Twin Snakes. And then
Gotcha.
then you just go Delta Sons of Liberty, Delta Guns of the Patriots. Um, but yeah, I think that makes sense, where if you call the remake of the original two games Metal Gear Solid Snake, and then have the next one be called Twin Snakes, is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited, and I hope this is what they're doing. I hope they plan on, well, one, first and foremost, this game just needs to be good. Once this, after the problem is, here's the problem, and I think everybody has this, where you're so committed to a franchise that no matter what, you're gonna get it. So like, there's nothing stopping me from playing this game. I don't care how bad people tell me it is. I'm going to play this game, even if I have to sit there and be disappointed. I'm going to play it. It's just gonna
Right.
happen.
Right.
Nothing's gonna stop me from playing this game. So I'm playing it either way, and that's really a problem. Because if this game's bad, if every single one of these remakes are bad, I'm still gonna play them, and that's a problem. I have a problem, and I think the first step is admitting that you have a problem. Okay, but I'm gonna
Right.
play this game no matter what. But I think it's gonna be good. I don't really. I guess there's. It's easy to see it going wrong because Konami essentially pushed Kojima out of the company, They took his name off of a bunch of stuff. They literally erased like stuff from their website that involved him because he was a executive in the company. And Kojima's just been doing some real shisty stuff, and they've essentially just stopped making games and just making like pachinko machines and mobile games and making a lot of money off of what do you call it microtransactions in those mobile games.
Right.
And they haven't cared about making AAA games in a while. Um, they are making a Silent Hill remake with a Blooper Team, which they announced a while back. Um, and now they're making a remake Sneaky. The problem is they told us that Blooper Team was making that Silent Hill remake, Silent Hill 2 remake, which a lot of people are excited for. They haven't told us who's making Snake Eater,
Oh.
and it's strange. Now they did show us screenshot, like in-game screenshots, weirdly
Mm.
enough, which I feel like if you're gonna show us those screenshots, maybe that should have just been part of the trailer. But whatever. Um,
Right.
I'm of course I want to hold out hope and just hope that it's good. Um,
Mhm.
but there are some signs there that make you feel like maybe it won't be. But
Ah.
but at the same time, it's like all they have to do is get a team of people who know how to make a game, and you don't have to change much. You just have to modernize it. You don't
Right.
have to definitely don't change the story. I think we all know they shouldn't change the story, but you can of course update the gameplay to be more similar. You see, it's not an easy thing to do to remake
Yeah.
something and not. You don't want to have every single thing from Metal Gear Solid 5 be in this game because then you'll have no room to grow in the next game.
Right.
So you gotta there's a weird balance you have to strike in remaking game where you want to modernize and bring in newer mechanics that are gonna make the game more fun to play for a new audience who maybe aren't into older games,
Right.
or just an audience like me who is like, if I wanted to play a game that felt like an old game, I would just play the original version. So you got to make it feel new,
Yeah.
but you also want to leave room for improvement. So you kind of have to restrict yourself a little bit when you're remaking a series that has 7 games in it
It's
canonically.
a tough balance.
Yeah, and I just hope that they can actually toe that line.
Yeah.